What up, everybody, and welcome back to Monday Night in the Pit, the show where I ask you a question, then we check out your responses here. Last time I asked you, what's the one thing Halo Infinite needs to nail at launch? Hopping in there first, Epos Vox. For it to succeed, for him, it needs to be on par with MCC, basic PC support for ultra-wide, high FPS, etc., but also closer to the more classic Halo 3 gameplay style. I think Infinite is kind of stuck with the community pulling it in many directions. I'm not sure what the fix for that will be. Heck yeah, dude, there are tons of opinions between modern or classic, and we'll have to see which route that 343 goes. Random Boy 1738, Halo Infinite would need to have Forge and custom games at launch. Yeah, I definitely think the piecemeal model that Halo 5 kind of had, where bits were added later, is not going to fly this time around. Erickson Films, Halo Infinite needs to leave players with that sense of awe and grandeur that CE achieved 20 years ago. It needs to immerse players in a world that is both alien yet deeply human. So more about the world building in terms of what you want to see from the campaign itself, sort of that sense of mystery and mystique. We'll see if they can land that, man. Zero hopping in with some gameplay thoughts. No Spartan abilities. If 343 can nail the movement, without those, Halo Infinite will have a solid start for the franchise as a whole. All right, so a classic fan for the mobility. We'll have to see which side of the argument ends up winning there. Archer Rove. I think the one thing that Infinite needs is no sprint, just because I think it changes everything in the sandbox from weapons to map design. The Mythic playlist in Halo 5 demonstrated this, and I wouldn't mind if Infinite moved in that type of direction. Well, yeah, you guys, if you watch the channel, know I am definitely more biased towards the classic Halo, so I would very much love a no sprint Halo. Whether that happens or not, who knows? It's not a hill that I'm going to die on. I think there's some more important things to nail first before that. But yeah, thanks, Archer. Got him, Gosh. If Infinite does have Halo 3 style gameplay, but with Halo 5's Forge, I honestly feel like I could spend years playing that. Would definitely be quite successful, at least in the multiplayer front. Thanks for the weekly videos and updates. By the way, off topic, but what do you think about the player count drops on Halo MCC, and what can they do to help bring us back? Well, thanks, Gotham. I actually did like a 30-minute video with Kevin Coolx. I hate to do the shameless self-promotion, but I'm going to leave a card here on screen talking just about that. Things that they could do to help the player count sustain a little bit stronger with the rest of the MCC PC releases this year. Charles Winters, I'd like to see a return of dual wielding in Halo Infinite. Dual wielding was cool, man. Remember when that was like such a hype point for the marketing back in the day? Villafranca, I think the one thing Halo Infinite needs to have at launch is enough content to keep the player base at launch engaged. Halo 5 at launch got stale really quickly, in my opinion, and by the time they had all the good content updates, Halo 5 had lost a lot of its player base. I think one good way to address this problem is to have Forge mode at launch with a good search engine to find custom game lobbies, as well as to find the custom games and maps. This way, from the very launch, people will be creating their own content that others can share and experience, as well as the content 343 will provide. I love that response, dude, and I, for years, was saying a successful Halo game needs to arrive at launch chock full with what the player base has expectations for. Halo 5, you had BTB delayed, you had Infection delayed, Forge was delayed, and like you said, if the game is fixed in a year and a half and the player base has already fallen off, that's no good. So why not let user-created stuff in the Forge be a helpful driver of sustainability? Thanks for the comment, dude. Suisun, Halo Infinite needs crossplay that's toggleable by the players as an opt-in feature. Dude, I couldn't agree more. Crossplay is so what this community needs. We're not the biggest FPS game out there, right? I got to live through, and I know many of you guys got to live through the heydays of Halo 2 and Halo 3. And that was really cool when it was a cultural phenomenon. Like, you could go to any of your friends' houses and they had Halo 3 for the most part. And nowadays, we're a much more niche community. There's a lot of love from the old school player base, but it's probably never gonna regain that Halo 3 mythical cultural phenomenon status. Like, even if Halo Infinite goes perfectly, there's just way more games in the space now, and the whole landscape of gaming has changed. Having crossplay, man, uniting the player bases, in an optional way, of course, between Xbox and PC, that's pretty compelling, man. You could go up to like a 30 or 40,000 concurrent player base pretty easily. And I'm not one of those folks that believes we need 200,000 players daily. That'd be sick. That'd be super sick. But I don't think it's realistic. Having, 30 to 40,000 people concurrently on at all times, that's enough for a really healthy scene, a good range of skill, and hopefully enough to keep lots of people happy. PT. I know most people are going to talk campaign, but I think what Infinite needs is to stick to being an arena shooter. And by that, I'm confused because honestly, I think Halo 5, if it would have came out without the title of Halo 5, like just from another studio or not named as Halo, would have been touted as like one of the best arena shooters like ever. But the fact that the expectations of what a Halo arena shooter is, like, there's so many thoughts about what that is, and it means so much to so many different people within the scene. Josh DL13. Halo Infinite needs to have a well-supported pro scene. Tournaments with high prize pools create buzz and high viewership on Twitch, which will undoubtedly create interest in the game and draw in a lot of new players. Yes, but only if the game is good, Josh. I agree with you there. But we've seen a trend lately where the esports phenomenon of just throwing money at your game to make it a successful esport hasn't played out. Like, I think HCS is great. I love the people behind it. However, it hasn't translated into massive growth for Halo 5 as a game. I think Overwatch League is another great example where they have insane money being thrown around that scene. And while Overwatch is incredibly popular, I don't think you can buy esport success. You can't force feed it. So yes, the game absolutely needs a well-supported pro scene. I mean, imagine like back in the day where MLG Opens were happening. I would totally love to go to an open tournament bracket and play in it. But those are few and far between these days. The route to becoming a pro is difficult, and you're going to be in a game that maybe doesn't have the player base that would support that kind of thing. But yeah, I agree. I'm sure HCS has big plans for Infinite though, Josh. Luke Bradford. What's up, BBK? While there are many things Infinite needs to get right to succeed, gameplay-wise, I think content is pivotal. For example, Halo 5 released with Team Arena and Warzone to play, then added social and Forge and BTB, custom game browser, and a whole lot more. I hope Infinite launches as a complete package with lots of launch content. Dude, me too. I think that's one of the checkboxes that needs to happen. Axel Brox. I think Halo Infinite needs Halo 5 Forge, Halo 2, 3, or 5 multiplayer, H1, 2, or 3 art style, and maybe some Halo Wars 2 ideas. Reach customization, Halo 4 story, the we are losing feeling, just Master Chief, and not Halo 5 campaign. Remember, I think. That's a lot of stuff, dude. We'll have to see if that Rubik's Cube comes together for you. Josh Washington. The one thing I think Infinite needs to succeed. HCS competitive play needs to fully return. Expanding off this, the roots of H5 were bred within competitive gameplay. I believe this needs to be left intact for Infinite and push the 4 directions of game to the audience. Campaign, social casual, ranked competitive, and tournament competitive. Thus being the separation that HCS took at the latter half. Settings modified to be more challenging for the players in a competitive, high-stakes atmosphere. Why? Halo's roots are deep in esports. The plot could be thing, mouse and keyboard and frames could be jacked, but if the game truly is a great competitive Halo title and it's refreshed, it'll retain player base and audience, especially with that $1 million prize pool back into the competitive sights. I think I get what you mean, Josh, there. I would hope, however, that the competitive side of the game isn't gutted to the point where the social player can't make the transition over to dip their feet in the water. Case in point, when you look at old MLG settings, sometimes they were radically different than the social playlist to the point where they felt like 2 separate games. My hope would be there's enough overlap that you could transfer a player from social into the competitive space without them realizing they're playing a completely different game. Dave Vita. What Infinite needs is not a repeat of what happened in Halo 5, such as a terrible campaign, which was also misleading because of the hunt the truth that never was in the game to begin with. If Infinite really hits the nail on the head with the campaign, I will be so happy. I think you also are landing on the marketing. The marketing and the tone that the developers take with the game has to actually match the delivered product, wouldn't you say? So as long as the marketing for the game matches up, I mean, we've only seen that one reveal trailer so far, but already people are hopping on that speculation bandwagon thinking, oh, this is a return to the roots, a spiritual reboot, all this stuff that could be just inferences, man. We'll have to wait and see what tone the marketing strikes and the messaging strikes, and hopefully that matches up with the delivered product. 2 more. Adam Mattis. Boy, narrowing it down to just one thing is a tall order, but it has to be the campaign. I may be in the minority, but Halo has always been about compelling story. To be fair, I haven't spent much time in multiplayer since Reach on 360, but a Halo with a great campaign will make me want to give multiplayer a go. That's how it always was for me. I love the Halo campaigns, man, and yeah, I really hope that Infinite's is a step above Halo 5's. Fire Wild Kid. Love this dude. In my opinion, rather than what Halo Infinite needs to do, it's what it shouldn't do. In my eyes, it shouldn't fall in the footsteps of MCC, and in my opinion, Halo 4 Infinity Slayer, with having a very poor launch. I firmly believe that had MCC had a better launch without any of the campaign and playlist bugs, combined with the horrible matchmaking and terrible host connection, that it would have been a successful game. It had all the tools to be good and, dare I say it, generational. However, due to these issues at launch, it completely fell off, and due to Halo 5's release timing, it fell off dramatically. So with Infinite, all I ask is for a nice, clean launch, with little to no issues on both X1 and the new Xbox. Just want to fall in love with Halo all over again. I think that's a great comment to end things off with. You want to know my opinion, guys? I'm very hopeful for the future of Halo and Infinite. Obviously, I really like this scene. I like making videos on it. It's just a hobby for me, though, so like, I don't realistically see Halo ever becoming like #1 on Twitch for years and years. I see us having the opportunity to become a pretty successful FPS game again, but I don't know if we can ever catch lightning in a bottle like 2007 and 2008 did. Wouldn't that be sweet if we could? But ultimately, the future doesn't hinge on us catching that lightning in a bottle and becoming a new cultural phenomenon. Rather, I just want a good game at launch that's fun to play and has great support. That's it. You nail those things, man, then players will come. What do you guys think, though? For next week's topic, we're going to throw it back towards MCC. A lot of game publishers do re-reviews of games that have been out for a long time and have gone under a really big transformation, such like No Man's Sky or Halo the Master Chief Collection. If you were to re-rate Halo MCC, give it a new review right now in its current shape, what would it be and why? So example, I give Halo MCC in 2020 a blank out of 10 because... Let me know what you guys think right now. What would be the re-review of this game in 2020, and what would be the things that you hope change moving forward? I'm really curious to see how many high grades we get and low grades we get on this one. As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'm sorry if I sound a little off. I've been on a work conference for my real job out in Vegas for a whole week. Dude, when I was in a taxi, there was a giant eSports arena out by the Luxor. It was the craziest thing ever. Dude, life is changing dramatically. But I got sick, and so I'm trying to get over that thing. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the alarm bell. I don't like push notifications either, but, you know, YouTube tells us to say these things, so we gotta. Follow me over on Twitter at BBKDRAGOON. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you again very soon.